Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton and Big C. This is the Charlton and Big C Sports Show coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one media network in the United States. And also Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe. And I'm telling you, we have so much appreciation for the growing audience of Big C Sports on iHeartRadio. I want to say today is January 24th, 2017. And we want to thank all of the people in Latin America. So bienvenidos. Thank you for listening to Charlton and Big C Sports. You've been doing it ever since we started back on leap year last year. Also, I want to say thank you so much for following in London, England, as well as Paris, France. And I also want to sing, "Oh, Canada, our my native land." Now, see, I know you might be laughing at me, Big C. Big C, I was on assignment right now, just leaving the NFC Championship game, watching the Atlanta Falcons and the Green Bay Packers. I think he may have had a little bit too much moonshine, but he'll be back with us this week. I also want to say thank you so much to the good old boys in the land of the free and the home of the brave, the United States of America. Thank you so much for following Charlton and Big C. I'm riding solo today. I'm in my F-15 fighter jet. The Tomcat I think was the same one they used when they had Top Gun, and the great pilot Tom Cruise. He was doing his thing back in the movie Top Gun. I also want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive one, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And it seems that every day I'm seeing more and more Escalades, Big C. Big C, I'm starting to see more muddy ones too. Unlike just you, everybody's into the dirty cars now, Big C. Everybody's forgetting about the car washes. And even, again, we talked about it, where Madison Baumgartner, he's driving around in a dirty Ford, which is not the same class as Cadillac, but, you know, it's a nice second pickup. But he's driving around that big Ford, and they had it all muddy. And he got out of it and went and wiped off the badge and it said Ford, but it doesn't have that Cadillac grill that makes it the standard of the world. So, again, go down and test drive your Northern California Cadillac dealer and tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Today's program, I want to say so many great things are happening with Big C Sports. We talk about miracles happening, and obviously for everyone who's trying to do something in life, there's always going to be some distractors at times. There will always be people who will tell you, oh, it's too hard. You know, how you going to get there and how you going to make it. Well, Big C's been doing this over 40 years. I've been doing it almost 30 years. And this message is really for a lot of the youth. I'm also doing a nonprofit coming up to help young kids in the United States of America, the ones who want to become entrepreneurial. Of course, go get your job. We all need that. But America works because of the entrepreneurial spirit. And I know we talk a lot about politics and we talk about Hollywood. We have the Oscars coming up, and they have the nominations that should be out in a couple hours or so. And I just want to appreciate everyone from Hollywood, whether it's motion pictures, you talk about Denzel Washington, you talk about Cuba Gooding Jr., or whether it's a Tom Cruise, or a Tom Hanks, or a Ben Diesel, or anyone that has done the work to make themselves called what we call it as movie stars. So I do appreciate that. One of my favorite actors happens to be Sam Jackson, and you can see him doing a lot of work with Charles Barkley and also Spike Lee. They're also driving in the Cadillac Escalade. They were going down to the Final Four, and he's famous for saying, "What's in your wallet?" And the thing I want to bring up about that, just like Big C Sports, everyone knows that the Oscars is about professionalism and expertise in your craft. We just watched so many great actors. Now you can see these people normally in a motion picture, but lately, since Big C's been doing it for over a year, you'll see a lot of these actors. They're actually on Fox Sports. They're actually on ESPN. They're actually on CBS Sports. They'll have them in studio, and especially guys on the NFL Network. And I appreciate the fact that they're bringing Hollywood and the sports world together, because let's be honest about it. Who buys the most expensive tickets, Big C? I shouldn't say you buy them. You know, you get a lot of things given to you for free, Big C. But most actors, they got to buy things unless they get things given to them free too. So if you're not giving free tickets, guys, don't worry about it. A lot of that happens to Hollywood people. But what I really love about what we're doing, we see Hollywood actors, whether it's a Kevin Hart, or they'll have someone like a D.L. Hughley, or they'll have many people on doing their skits on pro sports, and we cover the whole gamut. Where there's the NFL, which is great right now because we're looking for the Super Bowl champion in the next 2 weeks down in the great state of Houston, Texas. We also have NBA that's going to be going strong as soon as the Super Bowl is over. There's college basketball, and unfortunately the college basketball, because so many players, they don't even stay a year. They're becoming like Kentucky. And I think Colin Price kind of set the precedent. They go for a year and then they want to go into the NFL. So a lot of fans don't even get the chance to learn who their favorite college basketball teams are. And hopefully they'll have at least a clause where you can go pro if you want to, but you get more incentives as you turn pro if you're coming at least out of your junior season. That's just something to think about. And so I like that. We also have golf, that we cover golf. Nothing's greater than having the great Tiger Woods coming back. And I know Phil Mickelson hasn't won a lot lately, but just having Tiger and Phil, to me, because I'm a little bit old school, it makes golf a little bit more palatable. I know we're trying to get people excited about Jordan Spieth, and we want to get people excited about McIlroy and a couple other players that are out there, but there's nothing like seeing Tiger Woods and Phil. And then also you go back to Bubba Watson or Lee Trevino or even some of the guys that just are always challenging, like a Furyk. So I love the game of golf. We cover that as well as a lot of other sports that we get into, and I appreciate it very much. We cover the UFC. There's nothing more barbaric and exciting than UFC boxing. It has taken boxing by storm. Boxing used to be the sport that everybody wanted to fly across the country, going to Las Vegas, and watch that event where there was a Muhammad Ali back in the day, or a George Foreman, or Evander Holyfield, Larry Holmes. Watching those great fighters, Leon Spinks, Michael Spinks, the great Sugar Ray Leonard. We love those boxing matchups, but now, because of what they've done with the world of USC and Dana White buying it for $2 million, and then it's worth $4 billion now. Everybody's excited, whether it's a Conor McGregor that you're watching fight, or Uriah Faber just won his last fight here in Sacramento at the Golden One Center. There are a lot of great MMA guys coming up, and I love seeing it. There's something about it. They have the Global Knockout Series that's going on in Northern California. We watch a lot of that. They even have Playboy Bunnies that are ring cart girls. Christine Campbell's one of those, and we do some work with Christine Campbell on Big C Sports. There's just so much going on in the activity world of the UFC and MMA. Nate Diaz out of Stockton, California, when he knocked off Conor McGregor in the first fight, Conor McGregor got the better of him in the second fight, but that was a decision. A lot of people thought it could have gone either way. And don't forget about the great Holly Holmes, who's, after she knocked out Ronda Rousey, she ended up losing a fight as well. And then Ronda Rousey came back and wasn't as successful in her bid to get the championship back. Just so much to talk about in the world of the UFC. So we really appreciate that here on Big C Sports. And I want to also say that this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. Now, Big C, you can laugh all you want. I keep telling you that dreams come true, and sometimes it's darkest before the dawn, but I believe we're hitting that $177 million Powerball tonight. I believe we've already hit it. I feel it's already been done on January 24th, 2017, won by Charlton and Big C Sports. That's the California Lottery. Go ahead and buy a ticket, and because half of that money goes to help the schools. So they're giving us $177 million, Big C, before taxes. We got to talk to Donald Trump about that IRS Form 1041, because he teaches us how not to pay taxes. He and Mitt Romney. Maybe we keep the whole thing, Big C. We don't have to show our taxes anyway. But half of that money goes to help schools and a good cause. And some of the things you'll have coming up on Big C Sports is we're going to be working with a lot of high schools all over the country, but we're going to help them with fundraising for their athletic departments and some of their academic endeavors as well. But there's some crowdfunding sites that are out there. GoFundMe is one of them, and I'm going to be working with some nonprofits here with Big C Sports to help some of the local high schools who are desperate for money. You know, they're not like these NCAA Division I college programs that can get over $100 million in their athletic budget. A lot of these coaches that run the high schools, they actually have to go out and sometimes use their own money just to do the laundry. Think about how much time they put into that. And a lot of these coaches, they also have a full-time job elsewhere. So going out to help these schools, oftentimes they do it because they love it and because they want to give kids a step in the right direction. So we want to be a part of that with Big C Sports coming up. And as I've always said, talking to Big C, who's out on a vacation right now, coming in from the NFC Championship game, that sports is $1 billion industry. And boys and girls sports is the foundation of this $1 billion industry. If you think about, everything starts with a seed. The seed for boys and girls sports, where there's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, MMA, UFC, where there's hockey, where there's golf, well, no matter what it is, it all starts with young athletes. And a lot of you out there, you know you got your chance playing, whether it's Pop Warner football or Pop Warner, or Little League baseball and basketball, the small junior Olympic teams that all start. I remember I got my start at Big C with punt, passing, kick. I think I was about 8 years old. And you know, the finalists, they actually get to go and kick at an NFL game. They're chosen from all around the country. And I think none of it happens without sponsorship. So if you're an organization or if you're a business and you have money, it's great to have your own bottom line as a measuring stick of how successful you are. But if you listen to a lot of great coaches, they pride themselves on how many people they bless. How many people, because of their influence, had a better start in life. Not everybody's going to have it easy. Sometimes we have that bumpy road. But what causes there that you can put your money into that's more valuable than helping the youth get on the right track in our society? So as we talk about that on Big C Sports, you know, we call it real talk, and I love what we do with Big C Sports. I want to talk a little bit about how we became what we are. I want to talk about how people can actually go from the dreaming to the doing. And I've been in this business about 30 years, but I didn't open the door for myself. It was Tom Kelly at USC, the longtime broadcaster of the USC Trojans back in 1996. I worked a game with him. It was California versus Texas, a high school all-star football game. And I was a spotter for him, and I got the chance to go down there with the help of a guy by the name of Victor Davis with Cal High Sports. And we're also going to be doing some work with the Cal High Sports coming up with the great Mark Tennis. And they've been doing it better than anyone in California over 30 years. And he said, "You do a good job. What do you want to do?" I told him I wanted to get into broadcast. Long story short, I guess I got a phone call. It was a Tuesday from Mike Roig at Fox Sports. And he asked me if I could be at the 49ers and Chargers preseason game at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Well, they just happened to be the broadcast associates with John Madden and the late Pat Summerall. So it started from there. But prior to that, I had been involved with sports for so many years, and I was just having the opportunity. Been working in the production with CBS Sports, NBC Sports, ABC Sports. I was actually flown to the Super Bowl, I believe Super Bowl 33 in San Diego with the Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos. That was all paid for by NBC Sports because I'd done a job. And David Gibson, who was with Dick Enberg at the time, we were doing some specialty stats, and he turned around and said, "You do a good job, my man. I want to put in the work for you to go to the Super Bowl." And from there, it was just like it happens. So sometimes you pray for things and they take a little bit longer, but oftentimes your dreams can come true. What we want to do with Big C Sports, it's not just about talking about us and what we can do, but I want to lay that yellow brick road that Big C talks about so that people who are thinking right now, you're in college, you're deciding what you want to do with your major. Sometimes you change majors. Sometimes you don't go to college. Maybe you get to high school and you decide that's what you want to do. You want to get a trade going. Well, nothing happens without doing it. You got to do an internship, or you have to go down to your local high school and ask your coaches or your athletic director what you can do to be helpful to the teams. That's how I got started. And I know that story can resonate with a lot of people out there who got the opportunity. You got to show up. Showing up is 95% of it. Just show up and do the work as if you already have the job. Don't wait for them to give you a job. Many of the jobs that I've gotten is by just showing up and volunteering and doing it. And not worrying about the resume being returned. Not worrying about whether someone's going to call back. If you ever want to get into this world of broadcast, it's a different breed of cat. It's a beast. And sometimes you may have to wait a long time to get a call back. But because technology has changed so many things now, you can actually go out and get yourself a camera. I think they're called a GoPro camera, or some cell phones are so crisp right now with the megapixels. You can go out and record your own events. Even when I was in the locker room at the Oakland Raiders games in the Coliseum back in the day when John Gruden was coaching, and they had that run at the Super Bowl that they had. After John Gruden went over to actually it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I met the great, Al Davis and Al Locasell, and those guys were tough, if you understand what I mean. But many of the people in the locker room, whether it's interviewing Tim Brown or Lincoln Kennedy, or some of the other great players that I've seen over the years, Brett Favre, or just many of them. They had a handheld cassette in their hand, but about the size of a wallet. And a lot of people started that way. And then you had people like Joe Fonzie that worked for the Channel 2 over in Oakland, and a couple of other guys that I met over the years and worked as a spotter for them at Cal, Berkeley, and Stanford football games, and even working the high school scenes. There were a lot of good people. Dave Cox started with Cable One Sports and Bay TV up in the Bay Area, got me on TV in San Francisco, the number 4 market in the country. That was my second time on television outside of being in Sacramento and up in Santa Rosa. But Dave Cox gave me an opportunity. But I was prepared and I showed up ready. And the same thing happened with all the networks. So I just want young kids, if you want to be something, you just got to do it. I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. And we are also endorsed by the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association. We also work with all of the unions under the AFL-CIO, and my goal is to help recruit over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers throughout the country to help offer insurance to the unions. And you can tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio for that. And so I appreciate that. Not only do we have a sports show, we also can hire people to work in the insurance industry. And it's a great industry to be a part of if you want to be entrepreneurial. And there's also a great training provided as well. Let me just touch on one more thing before I hit a little bit more on what's coming up in Super Bowl 51 out of Houston, Texas. I think when you look at how you can start a program, I'll never forget when I was a young boy, I met Howard Cosell, and I met him at an airport. And I remember this towering figure, and what I mostly remember were some of the interviews that he had with the late Muhammad Ali. And I just remember how he seemed like he was shy. He was more like an introvert. We know he was a lawyer, a very intelligent man. But Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali got along very well, and they helped each other's career in the world of sports. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people who know what they want, they're going to go get it. But there are those of you who know what you want and you're afraid to make the first step. And the first step is called internship, or just go volunteer and immerse yourself in the industry that you want to be in. And then you make it happen that way. You look for sponsors, you show them your program, you let them hear it, you ask them for money. This is what we're looking for, and this is what we can do for you. You barter the time, you negotiate, learn the art of negotiation. And you may get told no 5 or 6 times, sometimes even 50 times. All you need is one time to start generating income. So keep that in mind and don't give up. And as we do this show today, I just want to say I thank you so much, Big C, for everything that you do for the Big C Sports program and helping us get launched on leap year in 2016 is February 29th. And so that will be here again in 4 years. But I just appreciate so much about what you've done for me, and I love learning from you, and I love working with you, and your knowledge is just unparalleled in the broadcast industry. So So this is what I would like to just touch on. And we talked earlier about how we're going to do fundraising, and we're going to help schools with the nonprofit that we're getting involved with to help them do some crowdfunding and some GoFundMe accounts so they can help raise money for the academic and athletic departments. I want to make sure that that's one of the legacies that we can leave with Big C Sports. Unlike ESPN or Fox, and I love those programs, they're never going to offer you a job outside of an internship, and they're never going to tell you how to compete with what they're doing. The antithesis of what they do is what we're doing. We're telling you to go out and compete. We're telling you to go out and create the next sports show. We're telling you to go out and get sponsorship. We're telling you to go out and work with people who have a great knowledge about this business. And what I'm very proud of, Big C, is we do it without teleprompters. We don't have a producer. We do it live, extemporaneous speaking. We don't stop and go to a 30-second or 60-second commercial. We read our commercials right on the spot. And I also want to say this segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. You can tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And we also want to help create 1,000 jobs for insurance brokers all over the country. You can tweet me at Yes Charlton on Twitter. That's Yes Charlton on Twitter. And also follow on Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, because we simply want to get on the airwaves and tell you about our podcast. We're also hiring people. We're trying to give people jobs. We're not telling you to go find a job elsewhere. If you have a heart for insurance or in sales, just tweet out to us. Okay? It's Yes Charlton on Twitter, and also you can tweet out on the iHeartRadio network, Big C Sports. So there's so many things that we want to do to help employ Americans. Okay? That's important. It's not just talk, it's real. And as I bring that up, I want to touch a little bit on the Super Bowl coming up. What a game we should have with New England and Atlanta. Now, ironically, Atlanta's the highest scoring offense in the league. New England has the toughest defense to score against in the league. And New England is a 3-point favorite according to Las Vegas. Now, I know a lot of people believe that New England can beat anyone, and maybe they can. But I'm not here to predict who's going to win a game or not. That's up to the guys in Las Vegas and what they know that we don't know. Big C, I know they drink a lot of moonshine, and they tend to find out some of the things that we don't know. And I had some people call me about doing a spot on the show, and they were going to tell me they have some inside information on who's going to win and who's going to play and who's going to come up with an injury and all that jazz. Big C, we know that never happens in the world of sports. So I politely said, well, I have to get back to you. But I just want to ask anyone who loves this game, the over-under is 58, is between 58 and 59. That's a lot of points scored in a game. If you look at Atlanta, the way they put up 41 points, actually it was, I think, 44 points against the Green Bay Packers, who were playing pretty hot and held the Packers down. That's a tough offense. I have a hard time seeing how they can't put 30 points on anybody, and hopefully no one's going to pull the fire alarm in the hotel of the Falcons or the Patriots the way someone did it against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big C, when I guess they had a 3:40 a.m. fire alarm go off, and then there were no mud tracks, so nobody can say that it was you that set it off, Big C. But obviously, New England, you got to love them or hate them. Robert Kraft has built a great organization. They've known for the tuck rule against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody knows it was a fumble. They're known for Spygate, when the NFL got into them about what they were doing, spying on other teams. A lot of people deny that. And then you had this Deflategate about Tom Brady deflating footballs. And my only question is, how could he deflate footballs when he was out there playing? And how would he know how much air to take out of the ball? And I still think the NFL went after Tom Brady to protect the image of Andrew Luck, because they wanted to make Andrew Luck the next, Terry Bradshaw, the next Tom Brady in himself, or the next Peyton Manning. And it was such a beatdown. They spent so much time focusing on Deflategate. People didn't question the fact that Andrew Luck was not a better quarterback than Tom Brady. And what happened? Andrew Luck signs a $144 million contract after being blown out in the AFC Championship game. And as Don King would say, only in America can that happen, okay? So just keep that in mind. In this game, in the Super Bowl, I believe that the last 10 Super Bowls, 8 of the teams that won had the highest ranked defense. that would be New England. However, tell me how anyone stops Atlanta from scoring 30 points. The only team that really can challenge them is themselves. I think Ryan is due for a championship. When you look at how great Tom Brady has been, he's only 4-4 in Super Bowls, and really would be 3-4 had Pete Carroll decided to give the ball to beast mode when they played down in the desert in Arizona. On a 4th and 1, and you can't get in from the 2-yard line with beast mode, averaging 5 yards a pop. And again, my good old boy friends are calling me from Las Vegas, telling me they have some insight on this game, okay? Hopefully we won't see a blowout the way we saw in the games in the NFC and AFC Championship game. Pittsburgh was a little bit sleepy. We know why. And the Packers, as good as they've been with that run, they just simply run out of steam. So I'm looking forward to a good game. I'm looking at how Tom Brady, some people say he's the best quarterback ever, and some people say it's Noah Joe Montana. Well, Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl, and because Joe Montana had Hall of Famers like Jerry Rice, he had John Taylor, he had, I think in the backfield, who should be a Hall of Famer, but they won't give it to Roger Craig for some reason. He also had Tom Rathman, who's also been great with the 49ers in their history, and their defense was legit. So they always had good players coming in and out of the system under Bill Walsh and George Seifert. And the thing with Tom Brady is he's done it with one coach, Belichick, the whole time. Unlike Montana, who had the chance to play for Walsh and also under Seifert as well, there's just so many things that you can compare, but you cannot compare someone who's undefeated in the Super Bowl compared to someone who's lost 4 times in the Super Bowl, and it might even be 5 coming up, looking at how strong the Atlanta offense is. Defensively, I think they can cancel each other out, but if you can find someone who can cover Julio Jones, and for Dan Quinn, if you don't get Julio Jones 15 catches, and Big C, you know he tried to do that catfish catch and skid down in the South, and he couldn't do it. He didn't catch any catfish, and he was wearing makeup. So but hopefully he won't wear makeup outside of eyeshadow in this game. But if you can stop Julio Jones, you win the game. So they're going to double team him. But if you're Dan Quinn, make sure he has 15 catches. That's less than 4 per quarter. Not 15 throws, but 15 catches. And this guy can get 180 yards on 9 receptions. And he's like a man among boys. Whether he has a sore foot or not, I think Julio Jones is the key to this game. I also think when you look at the New England run game, LeGarrette Blount, there was a scene in a series in the game against Pittsburgh where I think he carried about 7 defenders down to the 1-yard line or inside the 2, even though he had some help from his offensive linemen. You find someone like that who knows how to run the football and pound it, and that's what LeGarrette Blount brings to you if you're New England. So I know we talk about how great Ryan is. We all talk about how great Tom Brady is. There's not a better coach in the league than Belichick. He can out-coach anybody. But keep in mind, they're only 4-4 in Super Bowls. And that's what I think about Big C. Bill Walsh never lost a Super Bowl. And so when it comes to great coaches, do you go by the people who've been there and lost the most, or the guys who won the most? And when anyone says that Brady's better than Montana, again, Brady lost 4 Super Bowls. Should have been 5. Montana never lost any Super Bowls. And I think that means something when you're looking at someone. It's like in the boxing world, we look at Floyd Money Mayweather. Well, is he the best boxer of all time? Yes, he's undefeated. He's never been beaten. Now, there's some other fighters who have lost 3 or 4 fights in their history. But are they better than Floyd Money Mayweather? Now, we can even say the great Muhammad Ali is better than Floyd Money Mayweather. He's the greatest of them all. And maybe he is because he's more than just a boxer. But no one can say that his record was better than Floyd Money Mayweather. And I'm not saying anything to challenge how great the late Muhammad Ali was. He was an iconic figure for the world of boxing and sports, as well as politics. And what he sacrificed, no one can dispute that. But if you tell me that someone who's undefeated is not the number one, I got to challenge that. But in an argument with myself, Big C, and I tend to talk to myself a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Miami Dolphins, the 72 Dolphins, were they the best team in the NFL just because they were undefeated, a perfect 14-0 regular season and finished 17-0? I don't think they're the best team ever. So just because they have the best record and they're undefeated, it doesn't mean they're the best ever in the NFL. It might be the Patriots team that lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants that time when they could have won that game. But I just think it's up to every fan to decide who you like, why someone is good, and why someone is not as good. Okay? So going into this game, Looking at LeGarrette Blount, has to run the ball better in this game than he did against Pittsburgh. Julio Jones, if he's not double covered, then just call it. New England is going to suffer a defeat. If he's double covered, they have a chance to stop him. Belichick likes to shut down the best player on the opposing team. I mean, he's done it as well as anybody in his history. And so that's something to keep an eye out for, and I'm really looking forward to that. Just a few more things around the world of sports. The Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers lost on the same night. That hasn't happened in a long time. But it just shows you, no matter how great you are, you can be defeated. Miami is nowhere near as good as Golden State, but they actually found a chance to win that game, and they beat Golden State. And now when you look at how that matters to Golden State, you're looking at a team that has the best record in the NBA, but Miami was just 14-30 going into that game. Now they're 15-30. So how does a team that's 14-30 beat a team that's been to the championship the last 2 years and was 38-6 going into the game? Now they're 38-7. Well, it's called things happen, and on any given day, you can be had. So going into this football game, the way you look at that too, both teams can score over 30 points. I don't see anyone stopping New England from getting 30. I definitely do not see anyone stopping Atlanta from getting 30. If it comes down to the defenses, New England has a better defense. Atlanta has the better offense. But it's going to come down to who makes the biggest plays, and that's what's always about. They want guys who can make plays, and that's important. So for all the guys in Las Vegas that are betting, they don't know what's going to happen, but I know there's some inside information going on who's going to do what. I just think it's going to be a great Super Bowl, unlike the NFC and AFC championship games where we had some lopsided wins. I think both teams will be rested up, and they'll have a chance to come out and throwing the ball downfield. I think we'll see a lot of passes. Now, if you're New England, I don't think they'll have a success playing the hurry-up offense the way they did against a tired Pittsburgh Steelers team that got up at 3:40 in the morning. The way you win this game is keep the Falcons' offense off the field. You're going to have to do that with LeGarrette Blount pounding the rock and their run game. I know that Brady can find his receivers. He throws to nearly everybody that lines up to catch a pass. They're going to have to put pressure on them, and the game plan to beat New England is the same thing that Denver did last year in the AFC Championship game. The same thing that you're going to do to beat the Falcons, you got to stop Julio Jones. I think he's as big a factor as anyone on the Atlanta team. Is about Julio Jones, and he's their Jerry Rice, and I just think that's important. And as we close out today's Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States, and also Big C Sports, the #1 sports program in the universe, I thank Big C so much for everything you've done. Can't wait to get you back on, so let that moonshine dry out and get back on the radio, Big C. I know maybe you're out fishing, or you had a little bit too much moonshine partying down there in the great South. But just to keep this in mind, we also offer athletic insurance with Big C Sports. We can insure professional sports teams all over the planet, collegiate teams, and even high school teams, and your mom and pop soccer league teams all over the United States. And you tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports at Yes Charlton. That's YES Charlton on Twitter. Also, iHeartRadio Network. Just go to iHeart.com and put in Big C Sports, and you can hear our program. And we do it every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. And I want to close by saying this. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, life is going to have ups and downs. You're going to have some adversity. That's when you find out who's on your team. If you're in a spot where you need something, who can you call? If you want to get some information, some real talk, who do you listen to? There's none other than Charlton and Big C Sports that are going to give you real sports talk. We're the only ones that do it extemporaneously. We're the only ones without a producer in our ear. And we're not having someone piping into our ear telling us what to tell you. And I think that's important. No one wants to go to a concert where they're lip syncing, even though we've seen that even at some Super Bowls. But lip syncing is just kind of stealing from the audience, and I think all the sports programs out there that have a producer telling them what to say, and they're also reading a teleprompter, just like Donald Trump reads a teleprompter, you can tell when he goes off script because he becomes a little bit more cantankerous, okay? So who's the real Donald Trump? I hear there's two of them out there. If you believe it or not, just watch the speech patterns when both guys are talking. And so no matter who you are, I hope that America can do great. I know we've had a lot of division in politics. Really miss the class of President Obama and Michelle Obama. and how classy they were in the White House and no scandal, even though they had to deal with a lot of racism and bigotry and hatred. And you good old boys know that's the truth. Okay, we're not going to sugarcoat it. There are a lot of people that would not do things for him because he's an African-American man. Even Congress and the Senate, they said they wanted to make him a one-term president. Well, they were wrong. He became a two-term president. But when it came time to pass a jobs bill, oftentimes they said no because they did not want a black man getting the credit in the White House that was actually designed by an African-American man. I think with Donald Trump right now, let's just be honest, America is a land of opportunity, but it's also a land where people can give you opportunity based on your skin color and based on some of the old Jim Crow behavior that still exists. And when he has a Congress and a Senate wanting to pass bills to create jobs, maybe he'll have some success doing that. I still say in the world of broadcast, be honest, there are still some corporations and businessmen that will do business with a white man and they won't do it with a black man. I've seen that myself in the world of broadcast. But you got to keep plugging away, you got to keep swinging, and you got to not be denied. Everything has some adversity, okay? So keep that in mind. And the last thing I want to say on today's show, January 24th, 2017, on Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. I told you about the UFC. We do the NFL. We do Major League Baseball. We do NBA. We do soccer, golf. We do everything. Tennis. We do so many things that we want to make sure that we cover the gamut of sports. And we want to talk about some of the politics behind sports. We talked about the Oscars. We want to pay homage to our great Hollywood actors. There's so many great ones, from Denzel Washington. In fact, his son played on the Sacramento Mountain Lions when they had that football league that they folded in about 2 seasons. Played that at Sacramento State. We've had so many great actors over the years. Will Smith, his kids played football. I think they played down at Oaks Christian High School in Southern California. Joe Montana, he had a son that played football for the great Notre Dame, also at Oaks Christian. Tim McDonald, former San Francisco 49er great, out of Fresno, California. He had a son that played at USC and also plays for the Los Angeles Rams. And so look at what we've had over the last several years in the world of sports, from great athletes to their kids becoming great because of the tutelage. And from some of the great broadcasters, we talked about the great Howard Cosell, the great Tom Kelly, a long-time USC broadcaster over the years. Really appreciated him. There's so many great ones out there doing their thing every night, bringing you real talk, and I just applaud the guys that do it without a teleprompter. So you young people, if you want to get into this business, get a microphone and just go out and cover some events and then work at it. Not everybody's going to like your style. Not everybody likes me. I'd say most people do, but half of the people may not too. That's okay. But you got to like you enough to believe in your goals and believe in your dreams. Put them in writing and then find a mentorship to help you make it come to fruition. So I also want to say this segment is sponsored by BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org and CYNN Entertainment when it comes to promotion. Cynthia Evans, she's the best in Northern California. And follow Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. So as we close, I want to tell you, no matter what sport we cover, no matter who we talk about, good and bad, we want to give you the good and bad, and you have good and bad about us as well. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. You can't please everybody in this business, but you gotta do it. You gotta do it because you want to do it. If you get the chance, like what we're going to do with our fundraising for these local schools all over the country, find a way to give in to someone. Pour your heart and soul into helping the young people of the United States of America become entrepreneurs, to get people thinking right. Sometimes we all make mistakes. If you're open to being, having some constructive criticism, anyone can help you. I've got mine, and I like to give it at times. But we all need help. At sometimes we're all like the blind person trying to cross the street. We simply need someone to hold our hands. Because Stevie Wonder, without sight, he has great vision. But he also perfected his craft the same way Ray Charles did, without sight but great vision. Perfected his craft. Well, if you have sight and you have vision, you can also make it happen. And I want to say we appreciate so much about what we do in the world of broadcast. I appreciate so much about all of the people that make Big C Sports possible, from our sponsors, and of course you, Big C. I really appreciate you. Can't wait to have you back. And I want to say to everybody aspiring to be something, you got to go out and do it. Just go do it. If you have to, rent the movie Straight Outta Compton with Ice Cube, and they even had Dr. Dre in there, and Snoop Dogg, and Eazy-E, and just so many great performers who did it their way, and now they're millionaires and billionaires. And you can do it too. Again, I want to thank all of our sponsors, and I always want to say every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide, follow Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And as we always say, there's never any room for domestic violence. If you see any woman in trouble, call 911. No one should have to go through that garbage on her own. And as we always say, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And as we always say for every show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.